Hello. Welcome to Los Angeles. High above, in a yacht far, far above Los Angeles. That's really Los Angeles. In my little enclave here. Hi. My name is Chris. This is a thing for your eyeballs. And your ear bells, I guess. I think that's right. I appreciate you. I love you. Thanks for being here. You're the best. Your hat is awesome. Don't let anybody tell you you're not cool, because you're cool. I really like you. Ryan says, hey. Lendora says, hello. Cody says, good to see you, Senor Possum. Chris said, just finished today's pod, and now I'm here. It's a possum palooza. It really is. Tim says, I used to live in Tarzana. I would need to be a lot more familiar with Los Angeles geography for me to really know where Tarzana is, but I can see the Staples Center right there. There it is. Mr. Moriarty says, welcome! I shout that. I'm so weird. Tom says, hey, Harris. 9 a.m. rest. 9 a.m. East says, what's going on? Jack says, hey, Chris. Max says, howdy, Harris. Sneed says, hair. See hair. LOL. I did get a haircut. Tristan's just going to dig right in here. And I think Tristan's right onto something with asking a football question. It's a flex question. It's Devin Singletary or Auden Tate in a PPR. I think I would start Tate. I understand the arguments for Singletary. I think he'll be back. I mean, they had the bye week, but I feel like I kind of want to see it once. So I think I would start Tate. I was really impressed with Tate last week. GE Rab says, what up? Sean says, my hat sucks. Well, it doesn't, Sean. It's good. Lendora says, we love you too. Tim says, I have earballs. Yeah, it's a good question. Is it ear bells or ear balls? It definitely requires a bit of research. The Truth Serum says, let's go. Craig says, hey, Chris. I Am Tempest says, yes, that is LA. All that hazy smog behind you. No, this is a, see, if I do that, it blows it out. But this is a little screen that I have. It's actually quite clear. It's really clear, actually. Ridiculously clear. John says, hey, Harris. Mike says, what do I do with Damian Williams tonight? Yeah, I know. I mean, the whole Kansas City running back thing is a whole piece of mess, and it's exacerbated by not knowing about Mahomes' ankle health and maybe just overall not quite being as effective, probably influenced by the ankle health and maybe all the ancillary pieces that we thought would be entirely kind of foolproof wind up not feeling that foolproof. So for anybody who has a single possession question, like where do you have Damian Williams relative to other running backs, check out harrisfootball.com. I have all the running backs listed, and Williams is ranked somewhere in the, I think it's late 20s, 30s. I don't love it, but you might not have a chance. He obviously made the one big play last week, but it is tough to just feel like great about plunging in and starting anybody but Mahomes, Hill, and Kelsey. Those guys are automatic, and everybody else is. Even McCoy is like a, what do I know? I don't know. I don't know how it's going to go. It's not the same wagon right now than it was for sure those first 3 weeks. Fat Card says possums rule, people drool. I believe that's correct. And actually, there's a little gentleman right over there wearing a sailor cap. Oh, he's shy, but he's wearing a sailor cap. He's hammered. He's not shy. He's hammered. But he agrees. Groiters says, should I trade Hunter? Oh, I lost it. Dang it. Such a boomer. Can't make technology work. I'm going to find it. I'm going back. I'm going to find it. Should I trade Hunter Henry for Marlon Mack if I have Kittle already? I'm going to guess that my ranks say yes to that, but actually I have rest of the season ranks at harrisfootball.com. So especially if it's a one-to-one trade like that, check out the ranks because probably that'll tell you better than I can sort of just fire from the hip and tell you, but I'm almost sure I have Mack ahead of Henry. Now, Henry's really good, but if you can turn him into a running back borderline RB1, really like how Mack has looked this year, that feels to me like strategically the right play, even though obviously I can't tell you exactly what's going to happen, but yeah. Wordnack says, the skyline suggests the yacht is suspiciously hovering in midair. Helium-powered? Very much onto something. Very much onto something. Interesting. The Bank of Bofo says, any major starts and sits for tonight's game? Well, again, I would check out the ranks to find out relative to where your other guys are. But, for the Chiefs, I think it's very clearly those three who I mentioned. You're never sitting Mahomes, Hill, or Kelsey. That's clear. And everybody else is like they're not must sits. The other two receivers, Mecole Hardman and Robinson, aren't necessarily must sits because there's no Sammy Watkins tonight. But I don't know, just if they're not going to score 40 points, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of upside in starting ancillary pieces. Same with the running backs. For Denver, I would start Lindsey. I think, I said on the podcast today that it's very much a split job. When you watch this game tonight, you're going to see Phillip Lindsay and Royce Freeman play 50-50 pretty much. Freeman is the one who plays on third downs. He's the one who runs more routes. But Phillip Lindsay is more the goal line back, which, given their respective physical profiles, you would expect the other way around. But that's the way it's worked so far. I think Courtland Sutton is a must start. And then Emmanuel Sanders feels like the big risk in that offense because I love him, so I would love to play him. He's fantastic. The Colonel, I call him on the podcast. Like, I love his game, but I loved his game last week too, and he played a couple of plays and his knee hurt, and he sat down, and there's just a lot of risk. So I think I have Sutton ranked like wide receiver 12 tonight, so I want to use him. The Chiefs' defense isn't very good, and Sanders is like wide receiver 32, and that's entirely about feeling burned from last week and not knowing for sure whether he can make it through a full game. I think Sanders is the ultimate boom bust for this game because if he were right, I would love him. I would love him. I would love Sutton. I would love him. I think you can do whatever you want against Kansas City's defense. So that would be my read on the ups and the downs. Gino says, he says, hey, Chris. And then he says, are the 49ers Super Bowl contenders? It's starting to become a pretty good question. I mean, I'm not allowed to go, rah, rah, who'd they beat? I mean, the Rams aren't the Rams, but that was a butt whooping. Just right over there, about 2 miles that way, right over there. It was a butt whooping. And I'm going to say no because I like New Orleans, Minnesota, Seattle. I think those feel – Green Bay, I'm a little suspicious of Green Bay. I feel like on that list, I think for me, San Francisco would still be like 5, something like that. But I think they've probably passed the Rams in my estimation. So I'll say it's not where I'd be putting my money right now. But I admit, like 2 weeks ago, I wasn't having that conversation. I would not have indulged it. I'd been like, come on, oh, you're crazy, right? And now it feels like they're onto something. They haven't really been pushed by the right kind of team that can either shut down the run or get way ahead on the scoreboard and make Garoppolo prove that he can do the thing that you eventually are going to need a quarterback to do, which is play from behind, make big throws in big spots. That's what we haven't seen from Jimmy G yet. It's been very controlled and constrained, which doesn't mean that he couldn't do it if he were asked, because he just hasn't really been asked so far. And frankly, I think he's pretty quarterback, so we'll see. Icaro says, which running back can I get for Devontae Adams? This is a good question just for the idea of trading injured players. It's just so tough to get anything resembling fair value for injured players. For someone like Devontae Adams, I think you would just need to make the decision. I think he's done. I think he's done as an effective player. Turf toe is terrible. Eventually, I think he'll need surgery. They're not going to tell us that, right? So far, what Green Bay has told us is that he doesn't need surgery. But it's going to be the third straight missed game. It's going to be is it the third straight missed game? Yeah, it is, right? Because, Dallas this will be the third straight missed game. And, if you've convinced yourself he has no value the rest of the way, then you trade him for an RB2. You're not going to get an RB1 for him probably. And then you sort of just suck it up. But you are clearly selling a massively distressed asset, and this would be true of selling Joe Mixon, selling players who either haven't performed or have been hurt. You have to understand you're going to get quarters back on the dollar. You're not going to get very much in your trade. And my preference, given that we don't really know about Adams, my preference is to trade for Adams. My preference is to get this distressed asset under the hope that in a month he's fine and he's back to being Devontae Adams. Remember what that looked like against the Eagles right before it hurt his toe. He was balling. He was awesome in that game. And he's a great player. Like, we can definitely see a world where week 11, when we most need him in our playoff push, or week 13 in our fantasy wildcard game or whatever, we can see him being, fantastic. But your guess is as good as mine as far as whether the toe is going to be useful by then. let's see. Seth, good question here, Seth. You said on the podcast this week that James Conner looked better to you. What specifically? He looked like his same old power back, slow around the edge to me. I'd be selling. So I get the logic of selling based on a couple of things. And actually, John Evans said this in the show. He was the counterbalance. On the one hand, just like how good can the offense be? In the end, I want my running back to score touchdowns. Congratulations, Joe Mixon. You've had some games where you've gotten 100 yards from scrimmage or 80 yards from scrimmage or whatever, but if you're not scoring touchdowns because you're attached to an offense that just can't score touchdowns, well, good are you? That's a good point because you might just say, like, after the Steelers bye, it's going to be the same old, how they really going to get me the touchdowns I need? That's a fair question. And then also John's point of him being incredibly physical and getting smacked around and injury prone already. We don't even know if he's going to play next week because he came out of that game injured against the Chargers. I'll say on film, the reason he looked better to me was I didn't think he looked slow. I'm kind of, splitting hairs a little bit, but I'll say, is it really is it really James Conner's game? It's John Conner's game to come back from the future, but it's not really James Conner's game to really try to get the edge. Is he really ever, if he's trying to get the edge, they don't run zone for James Conner. They don't run the sweep to James Conner. It's not really the play, right? His idea is, if they're running zone, it's inside zone, and otherwise it's power man stuff, which is what Pittsburgh's been forever. And to my way of thinking, I saw more acceleration on that kind of run, that kind of power run than I had seen previously. He did look faster to me. He looked more explosive to me in that game than I had seen previously consistently. Ran a little bit like his hair was on fire in a way that I hadn't seen previously. So I was impressed. I came away from that game feeling like it was kind of legit. But for all the reasons that you just said previously, I get it. If you sold him, I wouldn't be a huge buyer of James Conner right now. Not at all. It's more like that made me feel more like a holder of James Conner. And I don't have him anywhere because he was a bust for me to start the year. And if you feel like, no, I'm ready to sell, I sort of get that. I do. Let's see. Steve says... Steve, you did a Brock Icewater mixtape for Brock Icewater's birthday? It's not a good one, says Steve, but it exists. Steve, I didn't remember. I honestly, if it didn't have it in the title, I searched all the files for Osweiler, Brock, or maybe Icewater, and maybe I didn't search for Icewater the right spelling or something. I apologize for that. I'm sorry. I've messed that up a couple of times. I said Bobby Sylvester doesn't have walk-up music, and Luke Hill emailed me and said, what? I made him walk-up music. It's about his torn Achilles or whatever he had. It was his injury. And I was like, oh, yeah, correct. I'm more embarrassed about that one than I am about not remembering the Icewater mixtape. Not because it wasn't great, Steve. By the way, have you made a mixtape for the last 4 years? I'm just saying. More so I was embarrassed because there's 150 or 200 or something mixtapes. There's only a few walk-up songs. I should have really remembered that. Daniel says, is Rashad Penny droppable for a long-term stash like Jacoby Myers? They're the same kind of end-of-bench player to me. I don't really have a line on whether either one of – and lots of players fall into that category, right? They'll fall into I'm not going to start them right now, but I imagine there could be a world where they're useful. Penny's world is where Chris Carson gets hurt. I don't think we're under – the fumbling problems for Chris Carson are gone. So – he's got a long leash. It doesn't feel to me like Rashad Penny's got any standalone value anytime soon. So that's a handcuffy kind of like either a handcuff or just stash the backup to a running back who I think might get hurt kind of thing. Myers, a lot has to go right for Jacoby Myers to be somebody that here you are in your fantasy semifinals and you're like, Jacoby Myers, right? But you could see Josh Gordon has a knee injury. We don't really know how bad it is. I kind of suspect he's not playing this week. I don't think Philip Dorsett's good. I think he's injury it can work. It could happen. The odds are neither of them happen. It's the kind of shuffling of the back of a roster that I don't mind at all. It's fine. Marco has a really good question. What's the outlook on Mark Walton if Kenyon Drake gets traded, which there are now leaks, I would imagine this is the Dolphins leaking that Kenyon Drake might get traded so that other people will approach them with offers. That seems like the likeliest scenario. What would I think Mark Walton becomes what Kenyon Drake has been. Again, it's we're not great at estimating situations before the season starts. I try on the podcast in July and August to try to get everybody to slow down on deciding they're sure what offenses are wagons, what offenses are great, and what ones just you can't draft somebody off of, because we're wrong every year on some of them. Now, the Bengals stand out as someone as people were pretty right, and probably I was too high on Joe Mixon, but you know, how you feeling about the 49ers, and how you feeling about Tampa's offense, and how you feeling about Tennessee's offense, and Buffalo's offense has been kind of functional. Like, I can point around the league to all kinds of things that we got wrong. However, now that we're in the season, situations matter, and now we know them much better, and the Dolphins are just not going to score a lot of touchdowns. So Mark Walton would have a little bit more appeal if there were no Drake, but boy, again, it's sort of that rhetorical question. Do I want to enter my, fantasy semifinals and be like, all right, I got the Miami Dolphins starter. I'm psyched to roll him out there every week. I mean, you might, but you're probably not going to feel great about it. So I like Walton. He strikes me as a Breida, Lindsey, Gio Bernard sort of player. Maybe never a every down back, and maybe never someone who is like a great goal line guy. Lindsey's a pretty good goal line guy, but good, functional, pretty good player. A Duke Johnson type, that kind of player. Could be useful, especially to PPR, but I know that situation, I feel like. Let's see, what do we got? Smash the like button, says brushing for greatness. Smash it. And Fat Cars just said 150 likes. All right, so let's do that. 150 likes. We have 244 people are watching this channel right now. And we only have 63 likes. So it feels like we should get to 150 likes right now. I think Fat Cards has a good notion, and brushing for greatness also is a good notion. So I'm going to go on strike here until we get to 150 likes. That would be fantastic. We're at 97 already. If you're on mobile, I think you have to close the text chat part of the stream, and then you'll see the like button, and then you can reopen the text chat part. I think that's how you do it. 113 already. Wow. You people are fantastic. You people rock my world. 121 already. Woo. 127. 132. We're going to crush 150. Crush it. 139. 143. And 146. My finger's growing in dimension and scariness. 149. 153. We did it. Well freaking done by you. We got to smash that like button. So I see some trade questions, and especially like when you have that question, this is kind of to everybody asking, like, hey, I have this player. What would be a fair return, or who should I ask for, that kind of thing. It's such a hard question to answer for a couple of reasons. And one is because I don't know your league, right? It's hard for me to say. But also, two, I never want you to get fair value for a player. I want you to win a trade. Like, I want you to do better. I want you to make it known that somebody who you want to trade is available, or maybe just say, hey, other team, look at my roster. Is anyone you might want? And then have them start making offers. Or else I would want you to make offers that you think are more than the person would take. Like, who cares if they reject it? I don't want to pin you down, in other words. But I will say, like, for example, so someone said, hey, I want to trade Joe Mixon away. I believe in the talent, but I'm just done with him. It's a hard sell right now. I mean, I can't tell you what you would get, because you would need to find someone in your league who believes that Mixon is a bounce back candidate, was really legitimately good last year. The Bengals weren't any better last year, so this is kind of a bump in the road. And this is actually kind of my view on things, but I get that might not happen, and there are people who feel differently about it. But I wouldn't want to say, and here's the player you should get. I would want you to find the Mixon, the person who's interested in Mixon in your league, to make you an offer. And then what I want you to do is go to harrisfootball.com, and you can see where I rate Mixon. Now, I'm a little higher on Mixon than you probably are for thinking of selling him. Or Marlon Mack, or James Conner, someone asked about. Don't ask me for a name. Rather, check out that chart at harrisfootball.com, because that'll put you in the neighborhood of what I think is relatively fair value, but I would kind of hope at least that you would get fair value, but try to beat it. Like, try to get someone better, or, you know what I'm saying. I would say generally, philosophically, the way I would like you to think about trading is 2-for-1s are good. You want to be giving up your depth. You want to give up 2 guys and get 1 back. We call that ponies for a horse. We want you not trading away distressed assets like Joe Mixon. We want you trading for Joe Mixon. James Conner, if you think he's overvalued right now, he's a good guy to trade away. But look at harrisfootball.com. I'll tell you where I have him ranked, and then you can see if you can finagle some guys around there. That's going to put you, I think, in the general space of what's quote-unquote fair-ish, and if you can beat it. But rather than me say, here's exactly the guy you should go for, because in your league, that guy might not be available. He might be on a team who can't afford to trade him. That's not really that useful. But the rest of the season ranks at harrisfootball.com, I think that's really going to help you out when you're looking at the trades. So again, and if you're asking like, would you play this quarterback or that quarterback, all you got to do is go to harrisfootball.com. And the reason I suggest you look at the ranks is that I don't have the ranks in front of me, but I spent all day Tuesday, like 4 hours on Tuesday, putting together the spreadsheets that comprise my ranks. So if you go to harrisfootball.com, you get a much better answer on that guy or this guy at a single position than I can give you right now. I haven't memorized the ranks. So that's how it goes. What do you mean, you people? Someone said. Tom Morgan said, smash that like button. Indeed. Chris says, I have Tyler Boyd as my flex. Should I take him out for Damian Williams, Matt Breida, or if Josh Gordon plays? Well, Josh Gordon's a Monday night game, and I've said already I kind of don't think he plays. And even if he does, it's going to be very difficult to get any sort of confident word that he is definitely playing and effective in time by Monday for you to make a meaningful decision. I think just Josh Gordon is out. And if you're asking me a choice between Tyler Boyd and Damian Williams, I get the upside of Damian Williams. I know there's a lot of people out there who have him. Really, even LaShawn McCoy, who I have rated above Damian Williams. Again, I'll say it, for tonight's game, the ancillary Kansas City weapons just don't look as exciting as they did a few weeks ago. Demarcus Robinson, Mecole Hardman, the running backs. You know, I'm certainly starting Hill. I'm certainly starting Kelsey. I'm starting Mahomes. But the other guys, I'm not saying you not to start. And I know what the upside is. They score 50, right? Mahomes is fine, and they score 50. But the downside is much scarier, and the upside seems less likely to happen based on the last few weeks. It makes me circumspect. If I were choosing between Williams and Boyd, I would probably be picking Boyd. And if I were picking Williams, I think I would be doing it thinking, boy, I hope he makes a big play. Boy, I hope Kansas City just scores 50 points. But I think I'd be playing Boyd in that case. Are your rest of the season rankings indicative of who you prefer in a trade? Absolutely. That's the point. The rest of the season rankings are who I would prefer in a trade. They're who I think from the moment I did them, which was Tuesday, forward, who I value more from this point on. And now if they're close, if the players are within a few spots of each other, who knows? I'm just I'm doing my best, but who knows, right? But yes, that is the basis on which I would evaluate trades. Michael says, should I start wide receiver A or wide receiver B? Welcome to my life, but I get it. There are people who are new to this. It's totally cool. Let me take a moment to thank BetDSI sponsoring this particular live stream. So BetDSI, pretty good sponsor to be sponsoring a live stream, because if you're like me and you like to bet the games a little bit, we can have a moment of talking about the games that we might be planning on betting. I'm in the Super Contest, so I got to pick 5 games that I'm most confident about. So I will ask you, what are the lines that you like best for Week 7? I'm not going anywhere near. Well, I actually think I'm not going anywhere near tonight's game. I pegged that line exactly at Chiefs -3, so I'm out on tonight's game. But I can tell you, for example, I like Seattle. I think I got it at -3.5. No, I got it at -3.5 over Baltimore. I like Seattle in that game. I like New Orleans. I think New Orleans is better than Chicago, even with Teddy Bridgewater. And the fact that they're getting 3.5 points means that the market feels like the Saints are the Bears are half a point better. I think on a neutral field, the Saints are 3 points better. So I am on the Saints. I don't know what else, if I have any others. It's a tough week. I don't know if I might be on Houston at Indianapolis +1. I hate it, but I think I'm going to be on Miami. Oh, God. I said that on the podcast today. Buffalo is giving somebody 17 points, and I know it's the Dolphins. And I know when these big spreads have come out, the Dolphins haven't covered them. Every gambling instinct in my body says take Miami. Just Josh Allen getting 17 points, giving 17 points. Oh, just seems like a disaster. It's fun. I play at BetDSI. I've had an account there for 4 years. I'm going to scroll down and see what your best bets are here in a moment. But yeah, I think if you've been thinking about trying to find a place to play the games, BetDSI.com is where I play. It works. I think the most important thing is like it just works. I pick up my phone and I go, I want that one, that one, that one, that one. It's over. I'm good. I get bets. I'm betting $10 a game. I'm not going crazy, but it's fun. It's especially when there's a neutral game that you're going to be watching anyway. You're going to get down and watch Philadelphia Dallas on Sunday night, and you're not an Eagles fan, you're not a Cowboys fan, you don't really care. I promise you, if you bet $5, you'll care. It makes the game more fun. Gives you a rooting interest. It's cool. So, I think it's probably in the show notes because Dave Hewitt said he put them there. But just in case, if you go to betdsi.com, we have 2 codes for you, promo codes. One is Harris Tube, and that's it. Use Harris Tube if you're an experienced player, you've played a lot. They will double your deposit. You put in $100, they'll let you play with $200. Now you can't immediately withdraw $200. It's only the 100 that's actually yours. But as you play more and more, the total 200 becomes yours to cash out as you go. It just gives you a bigger bankroll, but they have rollover requirements for you to cash out. If you're more of a newbie and you're like, okay, that sounds interesting, I might want to do it, dip my toe in the water and make a little bet and then maybe cash out. Use Harris Tube 5. They'll match 5% of your deposit, but you'll be able to get your money up easier. That's basically the idea. So BetDSI, I'm going to scroll down and see what lines you like. I want to see what lines. What do you got? Colin likes the opposite. Colin likes Baltimore plus 3.5. I kind of like Seattle, so we're on the opposite sides there. Chris Johnson says Broncos to win, money line. Okay. Kyle says Saints plus 3. I got it at 3.5, so that's a little better. Steve says he likes Washington plus 10. I do too. I'm going to be on him. I hate it. That's not a super contest, but I'm on it. We got Gordon's the other way around. He got San Francisco at 9.5. I get that too. There's a chance that Kyle Shanahan wants to murder that team, right? Very, very popular. Matt says, sorry, last comment got buried, but I've been a HelloFresh subscriber for years and looking to collaborate on a HelloFresh rankings almanac. Favorite meal this week? Chickpea tinga tacos, a must start. I like it. Johnny says, I kind of like Raiders plus 6.5. What am I on in that game? I am on Green Bay 5. It moved, so I'm on Green Bay 5.5. So if it had been 6.5, I might have been in Oakland also. Let's see. Any love for the Lions as a home dog? It's such a tight one. It doesn't feel – I think I'm on – the Lions plus 1 I got it at. I had it as a pick, so I don't feel super excited about it. Patrick says minus 3.5 over smoked ham. Philadelphia 6.5 over. Okay, sorry. Smoked ham or Matt Breida in a PPR. I'll get back to it. But anyway, BetDSI, check it out if you're looking for a place to play. Smoked ham or Matt Breida in a PPR. It's a good question, and it's not one that I think has a definite answer, so I think you follow your gut. If it were me, and it's total neutral scenario, who would I play? Think I'd probably play Breida, but smoked ham's really good. John Brown, really good. So I'm cool with that too. Ryan says, I know we both love Diggs. Was last week more about the Eagles or more about Diggs scurrying out of the trash bag? So I would argue he was never in the trash bag. I would argue there's nothing ever wrong with him, and they just didn't throw them the ball. And they did sometimes, but they didn't a lot. They didn't throw the ball a lot, period, frankly. I think here's what it's fair to say. I mean, in my initial season ranks of Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen, I was like, congratulations, you're number 12 and 13, or number 13 and number 14, like borderline wide receiver ones. And no matter what, whether Adam Thielen, gets a garbage touchdown here or there, or Stephon Diggs blows up, goes big, right now, knowing what I know about what that situation looks like, they're both mid-wide receiver twos for me. I think they deserve to be considered similarly, but I think that they're both risky wide receiver twos because there can be games where the game script works for Dalvin Cook and just they run, right? Maybe they run all over Detroit and you just never really get to the deep targets to Stephon Diggs, or you never really get to the 7 targets to Adam Thielen in the second half to win a comeback effort or whatever, So I think it's probably a little bit of both. There's going to be more variability with both of them the rest of the year, but I think they're both usable. That's the way I feel about it. Pedro says, thoughts on LaShawn McCoy? I mean, so it's all part of that conversation that I've already had. I know people come in and out of the live stream. These ancillary pieces for the Chiefs are more worrisome than they were a month ago. We felt like, hey, if the Chiefs are just going to go out and score 6 touchdowns every week, give me a piece. Give me DeMarcus Robinson, give me LaShawn McCoy, give me whatever, right? And now it feels like that offense, for various whatever reasons, is somewhat stuck in the mud, at least for them. It's still pretty good. I think Pat Mahomes still on track to set a yardage record in a single season, so we'll calm down. But yeah, these last 3 games, he's not on a pace, right? So it's been a little worrisome, and maybe it's related to the ankle. The good thing about McCoy is that 2 weeks ago he fumbles on national TV against the Colts and kind of gets benched. He was back in there a little bit, but you saw more Damian Williams. Last week it switched back to McCoy getting more snaps than Williams. McCoy got an end zone target, didn't catch it. The next play, Damian Williams takes one to the house, right? And history would be pretty different if it had not gone that way. I would prefer McCoy over Williams, but I don't feel like the Kansas City running back situation right now is a must start. It depends on what else you have. Is Corey Davis now a decent flex play? I don't think so. Ryan Tannehill doesn't change anything for me. Ryan Tannehill is dog sausage. He's not good. There's a reason the Dolphins were bad for years and years, and or they were 8-8 with a pretty good roster for years, and I think that was Tannehill. There's a reason they let him walk. I think it's because of what he is. No, I don't feel like this is a big change. This is rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. Eric says, why the disparity between Sutton and Sanders in tonight's game? So I'll repeat that answer because I know, again, people come in and out, and it's about tonight's game. The answer is because Emmanuel Sanders' knee was banged up going into last week. He ran on it funny or took a shot on it or something early in that game and got knocked out. So I just feel like I got burned last week. Do I really want to indulge in the possibility that he's toughing it out and he could just be out again in the first quarter this week on a short week? It's very possible that he's just fine. And if he were just fine, there wouldn't be such a disparity. He would get a lot closer, and Sutton might come down a little bit. But the fact is, we just saw him leave a game and not come back because of a knee injury 4 days ago. So I'm scared. That explains the discrepancy. But if you don't feel that way, I get it. It comes down to your own risk tolerance. Let's see. Flounder says, should I start Jason Witten if Amari Cooper is out? I don't know. No, I don't. I mean, here's the thing. I think they do very, very different things. Is it possible that Witten could get a couple more targets because no Amari Cooper? It's possible. Just Jason Witten can't run anymore, and he's a touchdown or fail kind of player. Like a lot of tight ends, like Jimmy Graham, like Kyle Rudolph. Kyle Rudolph is not even really that anymore. Tough for me to get excited no matter what. If you basically said, I'm playing wide receiver for the Cowboys, but my clones are playing wide receiver for the Cowboys all over the field, and there's Jason Witten, I'd probably be like, start Zeke Elliott. I wouldn't be that interested in Witten. I don't think that has that. I mean, he can score a touchdown. Of course he can. He absolutely can. But I'm not that excited about it. Let's see. We got dog sausage in paradise, says Chris. He is dog sausage. That is for sure. What else do we got here? I have a good thing that we could maybe do. Instead of likes, because we have 193 likes. It's pretty good. Who here is subscribed to this channel? It would be wonderful if you're watching this right now and you're like, wow, Harris takes an hour out of his day every Thursday and it's a really busy day for him, and he sits here and he yaps at us. That's really cool. I wonder if there's a way I could pay him back that's more than just a like. A subscribe. Hit the little subscribe button, and that would make me so happy. I would love it if you would just, right now, while I pause, because I'm going to count the subscriptions that you nail, you're going to just hit subscribe. It makes us feel good. It lets you know when we post new videos. And the videos are pretty good on this channel, I think. And that's because of Dave Piper and Dave Hewitt, by the way. They're great. But I would love it if you would hit subscribe right now on this very channel. Just hit the little bell. It's like a little bell that says subscribe. I don't know if it actually dings. We got a few. Thank you for that. A few more. Just a few more. I know a lot of you are already subscribed, but a few more. It's the first time you're seeing me. You're happening upon this weird redheaded guy in a yacht that's really tall, a really, really tall yacht. Oh, a couple more. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Subscribing actually really helps. It actually helps boost the channel in general. And if an individual video gets like, oh, it got 20 subscriptions on that one video, the search engine optimization of YouTube actually boosts it up a little bit. So that would be very nice. Kevin says, greetings from Ecuador. Hope all is well. I'd like you to heal me flexually, Darren Waller or Larry Fitzgerald. I did something similar with Hunter Henry on the show today. And what I decided was that if you're going for safety, then I'd probably play the tight end. I'd probably play Henry or Waller. If you're going for upside, I think I'd play Fitzgerald. And maybe your it just sort of depends on how you feel about the rest of your game. And my logic behind that is if I'm comparing a tight end to wide receivers, the tight end is essentially like a possession receiver, a volume play, an end zone play. Fitzgerald is actually kind of a good comp, right? That sort of player. And if I'm looking for upside, I think Fitzgerald probably has a little more upside because he's likely to run a route down the field a little further. And there are also, I think, after Fitzgerald in my ranks, there are the Terry McLaurins, the high upside, Marquise Brown for now, although I might have to take him out because it looks like he's hurt. But the guys who, if you're looking for upside, probably give you more ceiling, give you the 120-yard, 2-touchdown ceiling that Hunter Henry last week, notwithstanding, or Darren Waller probably doesn't give you. So I'd say that's probably my flipped answer. That's kind of a bastardized, balderized version of what I said on Flexual Healing on the podcast today. Let's see. Neil says, would you flex Terry McLaurin or Melvin Gordon in a full point per reception? I think I would probably flex McLaurin in a lot of cases. Maybe just giving the Charger offense a little rest to prove that. If they're really getting the left tackle back, that would be good because they really need to. But Tennessee's a really good defense. I'm not saying Gordon's a sit. It's just McLaurin has been really good and does get you the PPR and has a chance to make a big play. So I think I'd play McLaurin. What else do we got? Ben says, does the sportsbook have fantasy props? That's a good question. I don't know. I shouldn't have read that out loud without knowing the answer. That is a good question. It definitely has like game day, player props, if that's what you mean. But I'm not sure if it actually has fantasy point props. I don't think so. I'm not positive about that. Let's see. What else do we got? MD Borzic says, DeMarcus Robinson tonight or the Los Angeles running back who's not Gurley or Cole Beasley? So the Robinson-Beasley comparison, you can just look at the Harris Football ranks. You can find the highest rated wide receiver. The LA running back probably doesn't have a lot of appeal if Gurley is going to play, which, it's Thursday, but right now it feels like they're leaking that they seem to be expecting him to play, but who knows? So if it's the choice between, say, Henderson, the Game King, the rookie running back for the Rams, or DeMarcus Robinson, if Gurley, the problem is I can't tell you in time to start Robinson or not start Robinson. For sure, I don't know what will happen, right? So I don't hold out a ton of hope for Robinson other than the one big play, but heaven knows Pat Mahomes can give you the one big play. So I feel like you're somewhat hamstrung by your choices. I don't dislike Cole Beasley. Cole Beasley doesn't give you any upside at all, but he gives you floor. So if you go, I'm willing to take the chance that Gurley doesn't play, and if he does play, then I can fall back on Cole Beasley. Okay, or you can fall back on Henderson and just hope he gets some work. Maybe they won't give Gurley the full workload in Atlanta the first game back. Maybe, I don't know. And Malcolm Brown seems banged up. It feels like it would be Henderson over Brown, but you're sort of stuck. You don't have Gurley information right now to make the Robinson call. I saw a good one there. I saw a good one. Nicholas says, at 2 and 4, should I be selling AJ Green for help right now or holding on and hoping? I don't think there's a catch-all answer, but take a look at the rest of the season ranks. But I think philosophically, if you're 2-4, it's fine to get help now. If you can find someone who has a matchup that you like this week that you think is fair return for what AJ Green may be at some point, we don't know. We have no idea when he's going to play. I mean, I thought Rich Gannon had been told something that AJ Green is going to come back real soon, and that may just not be true. It seems like Green himself has said, "Not this week, kids." So maybe he's not that close. I don't hate it. I hate, what I hate is giving up things and getting nickels back on the dollar. But really, the answer is it depends on what you get back. But I don't hate the notion of it because you do need to win. Ryan says, I'm a bit nervous going up against the footy pajamas for Le'Veon Bell. Am I justified, or do his abilities still make him match-proof? Okay, so let's say Alvin Kamara was healthy. I mean, Alvin Kamara might not play, right? But Alvin Kamara going to Chicago, ungodly, terrible matchup. Dalvin Cook last week against the Eagles, ungodly, terrible matchup. Le'Veon Bell against the Patriots, ungodly, terrible matchup. We're allowed to feel emotions. We're allowed to feel like, I wish this wasn't his opponent. I wish he, this has the potential to be rough. I don't really think I'm going to get much. But what does Dalvin Cook do? He stinks all day and then gets a touchdown at the very end because he's Dalvin Cook, because he's good, because he's his team's main guy, and because eventually the worm turned, right? And it's going to be real easy to point to Le'Veon Bell if the worm never turns on Monday night and go, see, I shouldn't have started him. I'm so dumb. Harris is stupid. Why didn't he rank him 35th? There's only so low I can rank the really good players who have full work shares no matter the matchup. And Bell suffered in my ranks this week because that's not a good matchup. But just universally, I think the reason we say play your studs is they're your studs for a reason. And you're allowed to feel scared. You're allowed to feel apprehensive about it, but I think you just got to play them. And then hope probably it's not going to be a 100-yard game, but it might be a 60-yard game and a goal line touchdown, and then you're made, right? And sure, could LaShawn McCoy go bananas tonight against the Broncos? Could we talked about Henderson. Could Henderson, with Gurley playing, break a big one and look better on the stat sheet than Le'Veon Bell? Of course he could, but you're looking at workload and talent and opportunity, right? And I think workload and opportunity are the same thing. You're looking at talent and opportunity. He's got both. Tom says, do you believe in Duke Williams as a prospect, or are we just excited that Zay Jones was so bad that he looks awesome? I mean, did he look awesome? It was kind of one play, maybe like 2 plays. I don't know. I'm not that excited about him as a prospect yet. I would be lying if I said I gave a lot of study because it didn't feel like he had that much of an impact on the Tennessee game right before he left. I wouldn't say he elevated the Buffalo offense in that game, that's for sure, but he did score. I don't think he actually scored the winning touchdown, right? He had the big play that took them down in close so that they could get the winning touchdown. I think that's right. I'm not crazy excited about him as a prospect yet, but that's because I tend not to get crazy excited about sort of mid-tier prospects until I can actually evaluate them as NFL players. And then, I spent a couple of weeks with Auden Tate going, what's the big deal? And then last week I saw Auden Tate and I go, oh, that's the big deal. That was pretty impressive. There were several very amazing catches in that game where I go, okay. I mean, now I feel like I got a handle on this guy. And if I can get to that point with Duke Williams, I felt the same way about DJ Chark after week 1. I told you he was my number 1 waiver ad after week 1, I think. And I was telling you Adam because I didn't really have any context to have a sense of what he was, but because I'm just not a college scout. It's just not what I do. I know that there are people who are great at it. I mean, Matt Waldman's fantastic. I totally trust him, but it's not what I do. So I don't get that excited about Duke Williams until I see it in the NFL, and then maybe it's too late. But I'm trying to give you at least like a week or 2 of lead time, as opposed to 6 months that Matt might give you when he makes a good call. Travis says, what is your opinion on society's allowance of redhead ridicule while protecting every other type of person? I'd be lying if I said I didn't think it was a little bit jerky to make fun of redheaded people for some reason. I also think, though, everybody else is super so protected. Like, let's calm down a little bit. I've had a pretty good life. I'm a white dude. Like, I've not had to deal with a lot of things. If a couple people make a snarky thing about no pigment, I could probably handle it. I'd be lying if I said it doesn't feel sometimes like, wait, how come you get to say that? Aren't we trying to get away from? I was actually just reading Drew Magary's column on Deadspin, and he made fun of Carson Wentz for exactly that. And I was like, I had that exact thought. I was like, that's That's interesting. I'm gonna guess if that were an African American person, you wouldn't have said that, and I'm gonna guess if it were a woman, you wouldn't have said that. But cool, dude. I mean, in the end, I feel like it probably didn't hurt me too bad, and I've led a life of privilege because of most of this. And if it's a couple snarky comments that I've had to deal with, I could probably survive. Let's see. What do we got? Let's see. Lil Boat says, DeAndre Hopkins or Damian Williams at flex in a standard league. I feel so good when I get a flex question and I can have a very definitive answer. Play DeAndre Hopkins. I don't care if Damian Williams scores 5 touchdowns tonight and DeAndre Hopkins gets 1 catch on Sunday. You still will have made the right call because you're supposed to play this. You're not supposed to play hunches. If you play it the right way, so I relate it to poker hands, right? If you play the hand the right way or blackjack or something, if you hit on 20 and you hit the ace, it doesn't make you smart. And that's how I feel about that particular comparison. Robama Cop says, what do you think about Josh Jacobs going forward? His schedule looks juicy. I haven't really looked at the schedules. I think looking ahead like months, a month or more for schedules, it can put you in the mindset. It can, but it can also totally fake you out because these teams do change as we go along. So I'll say the Jacobs schedule, which I haven't even looked at, wouldn't be the prime reason that I would like or not like a player. I'll just say that. However, I'm kind of with you that I like Josh Jacobs. I mean, God, that game against the Bears before the break was pretty freaking great. I mean, he played really well, and the results were really good, and they're not really giving it to anybody else. And I'm not sure he's a megastar. I'm not sure he's an RB1. He's Doug Martin to me. He's like prime Doug Martin to me. And I liked prime Doug Martin. People remember how much I liked prime Doug Martin. He never really paid off for me except for 1 year because he was always either hurt or suspended or something. Hopefully Josh Jacobs is the non-knucklehead version of the muscle hamster. We call him the jacked gerbil on the podcast. But I'm in favor. I am with you. I am in favor. Let's see. What do we got? Danon Mincy says, should I flex Auden Tate or Latavius Murray? So it's Latavius Murray has this drama. I haven't even talked about Alvin Kamara at all. At this point, it seems like it's trending toward Kamara potentially not playing. We'll get a lot more. I guess maybe I was going to stop. I stopped myself because maybe we'll get some more leads on whether Kamara is going to play the rest of the day or tomorrow or something, or we might just have to go into the weekend not knowing. But the fact that they are signing other running backs scares you a little bit. So if Kamara plays, you want Auden Tate. There's no question. The question is if Kamara doesn't play, Latavius Murray, Auden Tate. If it won the Bears, it wouldn't be a question. It would be Latavius Murray. As much as I think Tate was very nice last week, it's still the Bengals. It's still a rookie kid. Not a rookie, but like a kid receiver. Like the lot could go wrong for Auden Tate. Problem is, Latavius Murray's and the Bears defense is really good. They weren't very good against Jacobs, but I'm going to view that as a 1 week hiccup at this point. It would be so close for me. I feel like I probably would play Tate. I'm just scared to death of playing the running back who I think is meh against the Bears. But if, catching lightning in a bottle with Murray doesn't, it could definitely happen. I'm not sure talent is great there. It's okay. But opportunity would be there. A matchup would be scary. What else we got? Let's do one more. Just thank you to BetDSI before, I'll get to a bunch more before the last 10 minutes here. But BetDSI.com, if you're looking for a place to play the games. I already talked earlier in this show about some of the lines that I like this week. I asked you what you thought, what your favorite lines were. Thinking about it more, I am going to be on Miami plus the 17. I hate myself, but I am. That's probably a super contest pick for me. It's too many points for Josh Allen to be getting. I'm an idiot. I will be on New Orleans, getting 3.5 in Chicago. I'm going to be on Seattle, giving 3.5 at home against Baltimore. That's all I've really decided at this point. But who cares what I think? What do you think? What are your favorites this week? BetDSI is where I play. I have it on my phone. It's not an app. It's just the website, but this is what I do. Hey, I got a text, not from BetDSI. So if you want to play at BetDSI like I do every week, give yourself a little rooting interest. BetDSI.com. The promo codes are 2 of them. If you're an experienced player and you want a bigger bankroll, they'll match 100% of your deposit. You can't immediately cash it out, obviously. They're not an ATM where you get to double your money. But if you just get that bigger bankroll and you're going to play a lot, every week, then do the Harris Tube as your promo code when you sign up at BetDSI.com because you get the bigger bankroll. If you're like, I don't know, this sounds fun, and maybe I'll try it this weekend, but I'm not sure I'm ready to get into betting every week or betting every game or whatever, then use Harris Tube 5. They'll match 5% of your deposit, but the rollover requirements, the number of times you need to bet to cash out, very much lower. So either way, BetDSI.com, thank you to them for sponsoring. They've been a sponsor of mine for like 4.5 years now. Brian is a great guy, and they are nice folks, and there you go. Okay, let's get to some here in this last 10 minutes. Chad says, should we trade JuJu for peanuts or hold and pray? It's interesting. Tomorrow on the podcast, I'm going to do a topic with Cousin Josh that's going to be 5 players who are circling the trash bin, and this is a preview for you. I think maybe that JuJu is going to be on my list. Not because of him, obviously. It's just boy, it's so frustrating. Now, he probably shouldn't be on my list because who cares what Duck Phillips. Who cares what he did, right? It's not him. It's the other kid who's better. It depends on what the peanuts are. It depends on how much you can really get for them that is usable. Because if it's really peanuts, if it's really someone who winds up occupying a bench spot for you or just kind of joining the group of running backs you don't feel good about playing, then no. But I'll tell you what, if someone's willing to take the chance on name recognition or, hey, they're getting the concussed kid back, like I'm willing to give you, would I do Joe Mixon for JuJu? Probably. Maybe not. I don't know. It's probably fair. But if they're giving you something maybe you could use, I might think about it. Let's see. Ryan says, has your opinion changed on Jordan Howard versus when you talked about him on the after the Green Bay game? It really has not. He is what he is. He's a nice, solid power back. He's fine. He's Peyton Barber. He's fine. But and he plays for good teams, so there's a chance he gets touchdowns. It seems like he's the likely dude when they get to the end zone. But no, I would trade him in a heartbeat. If I do have him in a league, and I would trade him, but nobody wants him. I'm not interested in Jordan Howard particularly. It just feels like, again, I'm trying to gather assets at this point that I can use in the fantasy playoffs in most of my leagues. That's what this middle part of the season, that's what I'm focused on. And Jordan Howard is not a comfortable player when it's like week 13 and Miles Sanders has decided to be good or catch a long pass or whatever. Howard just not a dynamic enough player for me to feel good about it. Now, I'm biased by not loving the talent, and I think you can talk yourself into his situation more than some other players, so I guess I shouldn't be – I'm absolute for my own opinion, but I completely acknowledge that sometimes my opinions are wrong, but my opinion probably has not changed. Let's see. Jacoby Brissett or Chris Carson at Superflex says Binger. I'm probably just playing the quarterback. I probably just always play the quarterback. It just the range of outcomes is higher with a quarterback, and the floor is usually safer. Usually. It could go bad for sure. Jared Goff last week. Ryan says, you hate Hammond Eggers, but Howard will be useful in December. There you go. I mean, I get that it's an opinion. I definitely never want to present this stuff as saying, like, if you have the different opinion from me, you're just stupid. And, like, it's football. Stuff happens. My experience tells me that those guys usually aren't awesome to rely on in December, but we will see. Good question by Ironman X GLC. Are trades not worth doing if both managers come up even? Definitely, they are worth doing. Definitely. I want you to win a trade, but I think if it comes up even and you're getting something that your lineup needs and they're getting something that their lineup needs, I mean, it depends on whether you feel like you're helping someone who's you're going to have to face in your playoffs or whatever. But absolutely. If you come out, if you feel like you got a fair deal, of course, feeling like you got a fair deal one day, and then you have a game happen, and suddenly everything looks different. That's the nature of this crazy game that we play, because there's just so infrequent. The sample size is so small. I mean, you're going to feel like you traded for Stephon Diggs last week when I asked you to. You feel like a hero right now, but next week you might feel like not a hero when he goes 1 for 2. You know, I mean, that's the nature of this nasty thing. But no, the real rule that I have, generally speaking, is I don't like to trade distressed assets away, because I just feel like they were good for a reason. They have a chance to be good again if they're not injured. You know, even the situation is bad. The JuJu thing even is probably an overreaction. You know, that's really my only hard and fast rule for my own teams, and everything else is kind of like negotiable. It depends on what you need, that kind of thing. Jonathan says, free book. You mentioned how last time? I did, Jonathan, indeed. You can get, they're not sponsoring today, but audible.com. And I think you use the code HarrisTube. I think that's right. You can get a free book. You can get one of my books for free. And then you can become a person of the book. And you can join our Facebook. Just email me. Hey, actually, if you have any questions about how to get that Audible trial, harrisfootball.com. Hey, Harris@harrisfootball.com. Just email me. I'll let you know. Effort daily. Kerryon Johnson or Frank Gore? It's a running back question, so go to the harrisfootball.com. Any single position questions. I'm pretty sure I have Kerryon Johnson higher, but I don't have my own ranks memorized because that's like a couple of hundred players. So go to harrisfootball.com. Look at the running back list. You will find my answer. That's true for all the single position questions. Diego, you know, you're a wise ass, but I like it. Since you don't eat meat, what's the vegan breakfast equivalent to ham and egger? Well, I do eat eggs, and there's fake ham, so sure. Jason says, would you rather trade Hunter Henry or Mark Andrews? Really good question. Check out the rest of the season ranks on harrisfootball.com. I must have them pretty close because they both have something to recommend them. I think Hunter Henry's a better player, but I'm also scared to death of what that Charger offense looked like on Sunday night, and that offensive line in particular. So I would probably say Henry, but I check out the rest of the season ranks at harrisfootball.com. Diego says, why is this? Indeed. Yuya says, hey, Boomer, Diggs or Breida, half point per reception. The Diggs questions in the Film Note Live session, the private group, people of the book group on Facebook on Sunday morning, was essentially 100 Diggs questions. Diggs or this guy, Diggs or that guy, and I kept saying, I mean, if I want to not look stupid to you and not have people mad at me, I will say the other guy. If it's me, I'm playing Diggs. But for the purposes of, and this is true for the Breida comparison too, for the purposes of not having you hate me, I'll just say the other guy. And then if Diggs blows up, oh, well, who could have foreseen that? Diggs has been so bad. I look good. I cover my butt. But the truth is, if I'm going to be honest about how I manage my own teams, Diggs is in there. That's how I manage my own teams. The Harris Index is broken on the site. Okay, somebody said that. I'll check it out. Thank you, Nashiz. I appreciate that. I will check it out. Fantasy 2018. Higher PPR upside this week, Crowder or Auden Tate? I think Tate probably is just going to have the bigger upside. For sure, because he's better and he doesn't run slot stuff. Jeff, good question. How do I feel about Saquon Barkley if he plays? So I ranked him. If you look at the running back ranks on Harris Football, you'll see him. He's in the top 5. I feel like if he plays, you don't have a choice. If he plays, you have to play him, and you just deal with it because he's the best player in football, or at least the best running back in football. I can't tell you what the usage is going to be. It's going to be frustrating if he doesn't get a ton of usage. I get it. There's a chance for it to blow up, but you know what I'm doing in my head is imagining all the possible outcomes and assigning likelihoods to them. And when I come up with the expected value of his week, it's very good. Because I think in most cases you don't use Saquon Barkley. If he's active, you don't use him unless you're pretty sure he's okay, in which case you give him a lot of work. But of course, I do not know. I cannot legislate usage. Iron Man says, how do you think Diggs feels? He's probably mad at me too, right? Let's see, a couple of more. Fox says, "Fam?" ? Hey, Fox, what's going on? Diggs or James White for the flex? Here come the Diggs questions. Aaron wants to know. I mean, again, if I want you not to be mad at me, it's really easy for me to go James White. Because James White's going to get you 12 points, right? I know if it were my team, I'd be playing Diggs, but the safer thing is for me as a person who's giving advice is to stay away from Diggs, because then you'll be less mad at me. If it's my team, I play Diggs. Derek says Devontae Adams outlook ? Yeah, the problem is everything I know. I'm reading exactly the same. With injuries, that's true of there's no injury expert in the NFL. That's not a thing. Unless you're the doctor of the team, in which case I don't think you're giving press conferences. Injury experts are not things. Like, sorry to say it, but we're all reading the same clippings. We all are. The teams are not going to tell us any more than they're already just telling us, right? So in the end, you're reading what I'm reading about Adams, and we heard it not serious, not surgery needed, but 3 games, doesn't even seem like he's close. Just don't know. It doesn't feel good. He sure was good before he got hurt in that Philadelphia game, but doesn't feel great. Jared says, Diggs is my wide receiver 1. Thanks, Antonio Brown. Hey, I got a couple of teams where I'm still hanging on to stupid Antonio Brown. I get it. All right. I got to go because I got to go get ready for some podcasting that I have to do before the game. I hope you enjoy the game tonight. Follow me on Twitter if you want, @HarrisFootball. If you'd subscribe to the channel, it would be just so fantastic. I would love it. It helps us out a lot, actually. I love doing this. It's super fun to do it for you, but it would be a nice thing you could do that's free, cheap, nothing, to hit that little bell and subscribe. I thank you very much, and I'll do this next week. Of course, I have a podcast 5 days a week on harrisfootball.com. Love if you download the podcast, because that's where the fullness of my opinions can be gotten, and I will be on the podcast on Friday. We'll see you. Thank you. Enjoy the game. Bye.